we're very, very fortunate that our last tour, we literally flew back from New York the day everything shut down. We saw the last show of Wicked on Broadway, which still amazes me to this day that we were able to do that trip. And so we are hopeful and in moving forward in our tour this year. We are planning on going to Nashville, Tennessee this year. I actually never initially thought about going to Nashville, but I was talking with some students and talking to our tour person. He's like, oh yeah, Nashville, there's some really great things we can do there, some exchanges. And what you see here is a potential itinerary. There are still some things that we're trying to either find some more performance venues to sing at, or some more or some more exchanges to do while we're there. One thing that I wanted to point out, because as I read this and going through this, I always look through like a district admin point of view. And one of the places it says Wild Horse Saloon. I promise it is not actual saloon, but it's a really cool place where they actually teach like line dancing. So it'll be a fun thing for them to have dinner, and then they'll talk like different line dances and just do all that kind of stuff, which is, I think, a lot of fun. So that, I promise, that's what that is. He even sent me a website, and I looked it up. It looks really awesome. It's not what, yeah. So, but I know a lot of times when people think about like doing tours in high school, a lot of people will do like Disneyland or different theme parks, and that's totally great. But we choose to do stuff that we would be together for a majority of the time. Because when you go to a theme park, you split into smaller groups, right? For a good majority of this trip. The trips, and so our goal is to stay together, because one of the goals of going on tour is actually building those friendships. And one of my favorite things to see on tours is seeing people get to know people that maybe they might have known a little bit in class, and then on tour all of a sudden like a really strong friendship is made because of going on tour, because we literally go everywhere together. There's only a few times where we would split up for a little bit, but not very much. In fact, I think when we went to New York, I think there was really only one time that we were split up, and that was when we had lunch in Times Square. Other than that, we were pretty much together the entire time, which was awesome. Thinking about the financial plan, what you see again, this is not set in stone, because what has to happen first is we have to go with, and you'll see on this paper is a tour survey, and what we have to do initially first is we have to show that there is a strong interest in going on this trip. And I know it might seem how things are going right now with numbers fluctuating and all that stuff. My thought process with this is I would rather have everything set in stone and moving forward than things just than it being too late and we won't be able to go on tour, if that makes any sense. And our tour, the tour company that we go through Fame, they work really well with us. They in fact, they do have a strong connection to Mesa High. All of their kids, the guy who runs Fame, their kids went to Mesa High. I was actually in choir with them, and great family. They ultimately will take care of making sure that everything works out correctly. You'll see that the cost, when it says the land package, that's everything that is included there. So everything but lunches is included. So breakfast, dinner, the shows, getting it when there's going into a museum, all of that stuff is included in there. The only thing they would be kind of in charge that they have to pay for is their lunches. And then then you factor in the airfare, which is estimated for $350. He usually gets it under that, but he always estimates higher, just because you never know. Sometimes that is round trip. So we're looking at 1,000 or under for this trip. And I'll tell you right now, with doing it at how much time we get there, that's a really solid deal to be able to get that to get what we're getting out of that trip. Let's see here, I'm trying to think. So our next step that we are going to do is you would turn in this survey, and from there, what I do is I actually take that stuff and I take it to SIAC. Because it is an overnighter, an out-of-state trip, it does have to get approved through our SIAC and also the district. Okay, so all of this being said, it's still not set in stone, but it's one of the processes until we can actually start getting going on that. Now, if the district gives us the green light, then we can start raising money and collecting all of that and starting the payment plan. And then you can see the projected payment plan of like doing it September 15th, which will probably most likely get bumped just because of when we can actually start that process with getting approved, would be that $100 down payment, and then after that it's $150 each month after that. One of the best ways to raise money or pay for these trips is through ECA. Is there anybody in here who's not familiar with ECA? Because I do have a spiel that I can send out if you're wanting, especially if you're wanting to ask other people. But ECA literally is the best thing you can do, especially, and that's also another reason why we do a tour every other year, is so that way you can do for example, I could do an ECA donation for the year 2021 for now, which is, since my husband and I are married, we can do up to $400 for the year 2021, and then come January, I can do another $400 for 2022. And right there, that's $800 that I could potentially use, and I would get back on my taxes and send a kid on a trip. So ECA is our best friend. It is a wonderful thing that I don't think people really take full advantage of. And what I'm working on putting together right now is actually a packet to show people how you can do it online. You can do ECA online or in kind of like hard paper form. In the packet that your kiddos got, there is a little ECA section that has kind of like pre-filled out that they can mail in if you'd like to do ECA that way. One of the important things is when doing ECA, just make sure that you specify who you would like the money to go to. That way I know, because we keep, when we start doing records, Emily Richardson and I, she's our treasurer, she's like, I just called her out, she's like, what? Yeah, you. She will help me actually go through and keep track of payments and all of that. Okay? If there's anything else I'm missing. Are there any questions that come to mind right now about this? Yeah?
So what happens if we pay up front and then the world gets shut down again?
So I am actually waiting to hear back from our tour guide because I asked that same exact question. I was trying, and he's like putting the little thing together for me. I do know that since COVID has happened, all of the touring companies are adjusting their terms a bit, just because they want people to still travel with them, and so they're kind of laxing up on their thing. To my understanding as of right now, you would be able to get money back except the initial like $100 down deposit, but everything else I believe you would be able to get back.
Okay.
To my understanding, he's working on that for me so I can get that out to you guys so we can have a more in depth about what that is. Yeah.
But you can't ever get ECA.
But yeah, you can't get ECA back.
So once you put ECA money in, it's there.
Right, but the nice thing is once it's there, so let's say like something down the road happens, we can still use that towards your son or daughter, and that way because it's already there and their name's associated with it.
Okay, so it'll stay like, in their account.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll still stay in the choir account, but I'll make sure so because I know it's braided to sophomore, so if we don't use it this year, by his senior year, I know I have that credit towards him already.
Okay.
What if they're a senior? Would you save it to a younger sibling?
We can do that. Yeah. For sure. Any other questions on any of that at all? I know it's, again, with this, my thought process is I would rather have all this, I'd rather go forward with it now instead of it being too late to be able to put, because the district requires that we submit all this kind of stuff at least 3 months in advance for it to get approved. We have to do all that. So if we're looking at our timeline, we'd have to start getting the ball rolling on this anyway, so why not do it now? And I know, they could come back and say no. They honestly could. but I'm hopeful that things will change. I'm very hopeful that things will change. Okay. I also just want you to know too, kind of like my expectations when we're on tour. I am a very trusting person until that trust is broken, and luckily we haven't had an issue with that. I am very grateful the fact that our kids are very trustworthy and that they do their best, because when we're traveling, not only are they representing themselves, they're representing the choir program and they're representing Mesa High. Because honestly, wherever we go, there is some kind of connection that is made. Whether it's like a flight attendant or whether it's just someone we randomly see, somebody knows about Mesa. It's crazy how it works out. And so we make sure that we're representing them. And I tell my kids, it's for a trip like this, because I trust them, it is honestly a one and done. If there is an issue that like is pretty serious, they're getting sent home. Just because we don't have doing something like this, we don't want to lose that ability to be able to do something like that again in the future. Because it's usually what happens if something happens, then it's kind of gone. It's harder to get it back. But we've never had that problem, so we've been very fortunate. These kids are fantastic. I love traveling with them. It is a blast. And also, speaking of traveling, we are in need of some chaperones. Normally I bring my husband along because he understands my brain, which is a scary thing. But because we are in the adoption process, we decided he needs to stay home, because my parents would not be able to take care of two little ones for that long, so especially at that age. But and so we're looking for some chaperones to come and join with us. So we can have. I would love to have two gentlemen join. I always like having two guys as extra chaperone, just because it's just nice to have around, to make sure that the boys aren't being too crazy. The dads get to look into shape. I can't promise anything. Yeah, okay. And then, but it kind of works nice if, especially like with price or stuff. If there's like a husband and wife that could potentially do it, that works out really nicely. So if you can be thinking about that, if you'd like to chaperone, you can even mark it on this survey if you'd like to chaperone. When people chaperone, they have a blast. You can even ask Mindy Shirts. She went with us last time, and she was awesome. Every morning, she had a little thought for them, like a little positive thought, and then gave like a piece of candy for it. And the girls were like, "Oh my gosh, this is so great! It's like girls' candy." And the boys were like, "I don't care, it's candy. I get candy every morning." So, but it was just a lot of fun. We love having all that we can on these tours. Any other questions about the tours and all that? Yes.
So like, is there anything involved with it that would be like concern or?
No, not that I'm aware of. Because a lot of it is going to be like doing exchanges with like I said, like with the university director, which is awesome. I love doing exchanges and letting other people work with the kids and learning new things. There shouldn't be anything too physical. I mean, besides line dancing, but we do that every Friday. So I don't think any health issues would be a problem with that. Any other wonderful questions? Great. If you could do me a favor, I know you may not have an answer for tonight, but if you could have this by Friday, the 27th. You don't have to tear it off. I know it says tear it off, but you don't have to tear it off. That's fine. But if you could fill out the bottom portion, just so we can show that there is interest in the trip. I'm really excited. I've never been to Nashville, but I've always wanted to go. But I never thought it would ever kind of be a thing. So if you could do that, that would be fantastic. But if there's not any other questions, thank you again for coming tonight. You guys are. Oh yes,
I'm wondering what your plans are for a musical this year?
I can answer that. I should have done the first meeting. We are actually doing Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat this year. We're really excited. And that means we're also going to have a children's chorus. So we're going to be doing, so if you have younger siblings or know of that, we are going to also doing auditions for them as well. So it's going to be so much fun. Mr. Glass, the drama teacher, has some crazy ideas for the set, so it's gonna be big. So we're really, really excited. So
And
yeah.
when?
The auditions are in January, and the musical is going to be at the very end of March into early April. It's going to be so. All right. Yeah, Arden.
Wait, so then would it be possible that if you're in the musical, would it be a conflict?
With the tour, so that's also why I do the tour during spring break. So that way that we don't, if you missed out on something, it'd be like it'd be only like one rehearsal, because during spring break we try to give the kids for the musical most of spring break off, and then the latter part we start doing like the tech stuff, because we are usually building the set more during spring break, so there should be a lot of